A long time ago, in the vast and shimmering kingdom of Persia, lived a kind young girl named Esther. Her Hebrew name was Hadassah, which means myrtle tree. Esther didn't have a mother or father, so she lived with her older cousin Mordecai. He loved her like his own daughter, teaching her to be kind, wise, and above all, to trust in God with all her heart. At that time, Persia was ruled by a powerful king named Xerxes. He lived in a palace so grand it sparkled like a jewel. One day, the king threw a massive feast that lasted for days. There was music, mountains of food, and enough celebration to fill the whole city of Susa. During the party, King Xerxes sent for Queen Vashti. He wanted to show everyone how beautiful she was. But Queen Vashti said no. The palace went silent. The king was embarrassed and very angry. After talking with his advisors, he decided that Vashti could no longer be queen. When the party ended and the palace grew quiet, the king felt very lonely in his big, empty halls. The king's helpers saw he was sad and came up with a plan. Let's search the whole kingdom for a new queen. They brought many young women to the palace, and Esther was chosen to go too. Before she left, Mordecai gave her a hug and said, "Do not tell anyone you are Jewish yet," he whispered. "Be brave and trust that God is with you." The palace was huge and a little bit scary. Everything was different from Esther's quiet home. For a whole year, the women stayed in the palace, preparing for their meeting with the king with special perfumes and beauty treatments. While others worried about their jewelry, Esther focused on being kind. She listened carefully to the palace helpers and treated everyone with respect. Soon, everyone noticed her gentle and wise spirit. Finally, it was Esther's turn to meet the king. When Xerxes saw her, he didn't just see a pretty face, he saw her calm and gentle heart. He liked Esther more than anyone else in the kingdom. He placed a golden crown on her head and declared, "Esther is the new queen." Even though Esther lived in a palace with beautiful robes and royal meals, she stayed humble. She never forgot where she came from. Every day she remembered Mordecai's words and kept her Jewish identity a secret, waiting for the right time to speak. Mordecai often sat near the palace gate to see how Esther was doing. One afternoon, he overheard two guards whispering a dark secret. They were planning to hurt the king. Mordecai quickly sent a message to Esther, and Esther warned the king. The king's life was saved. The king's scribes wrote Mordecai's name in a big book of records. Even though Mordecai wasn't rewarded right away, God saw his good deed. Not long after, the king promoted a man named Haman to be his top official. Haman was very proud and loved power. He demanded that everyone bow down to him as he walked by, but Mordecai refused. "I only bow to God," he said firmly. This made Haman boil with anger. He didn't just want to punish Mordecai, he wanted to get rid of all the Jewish people in the kingdom. Haman tricked the king into signing a terrible new law. It said that on a certain day all the Jewish people would be gone. When Mordecai heard this, his heart broke. He put on rough clothes and cried out to God. He sent a message to Esther, "You must go to the king and beg for help." Esther was terrified, If I go to the king without being invited, I could be put in prison, she replied. Mordecai sent back a message that changed everything. Do not think that because you are in the palace, you will escape. Who knows? Perhaps you have become queen for such a time as this. Esther realized that God had put her in the palace for a very important reason. Esther took a deep breath and made a brave choice. I will go, she said, and if I perish, I perish. But she didn't go alone. She asked Mordecai and all the Jewish people to fast and pray for 3 days. While they prayed, Esther prayed too, asking God for the courage to speak the truth. On the 3rd day, Esther put on her royal robes. Her heart hammered in her chest like a drum as she walked toward the throne room. When King Xerxes saw her, he didn't look angry. Instead, he smiled and held out his golden scepter. "What is it, Queen Esther?" he asked. "I will give you anything you want." Esther spoke softly. "I would like to invite you and Haman to a special dinner." At the dinner, the king asked again, "What do you really want, Esther?" But Esther knew the timing wasn't right yet. "Please come to one more dinner tomorrow," she said. Haman left the palace feeling very important, but when he saw Mordecai at the gate still refusing to bow, his pride turned back into anger. He went home and huddled with his friends, making a dark plan to hurt Mordecai the very next morning. But that night, the king couldn't sleep. He asked his servants to read him the royal record book to help him drift off. He happened to read the page about how Mordecai had saved the king's life. "Did we ever thank that man?" the king asked. "No, your majesty," he replied. The next morning, Haman came to the king to ask for permission to hurt Mordecai. But before he could speak, the king asked, "Haman, how should I honor someone who has done something great?" Haman thought, he must be talking about me. He suggested royal robes and a parade. The king shouted, "Great idea! Go find Mordecai and do exactly that for him." Haman was shocked, but he had to lead Mordecai through the city, shouting, "This is how the king honors a hero." That evening at the second feast, the king asked one last time, "Esther, what is your request?" This time, Esther stood tall. "My king, someone is trying to destroy me and my people." The king was shocked. "Who would do such a thing?" Esther pointed at Haman. "This wicked man." The king was furious that Haman had tricked him. He ordered the guards to take Haman away forever. The king gave Mordecai Haman's old job, and a new law was written to protect all the Jewish people. Fear turned into dancing, and sadness turned into a giant celebration. Mordecai and Esther worked together to make sure everyone in the land was safe and treated fairly. The people never forgot how God had saved them. Esther's story is still told today to remind us that God is always working even when we can't see Him. Esther wasn't a superhero with magic powers. She was an ordinary girl who chose to be brave and trust God. And just like Esther, God has a special plan for your life too, for such a time as this.
Love this story? You will love the book version even more. Grab your copy using the link in the description below.